The PDP, the People's Democratic Party, is considering expelling members of the G5 governors, which is made up of Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, Samuel Ortom of Benue State, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of Enugu State, and Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia State, if they go ahead and announce their support for any presidential candidate other than the PDP presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. If the PDP decides to take such action, what will be the legal implications for the candidacy of the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, who is seeking re-election, as well as Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of Enugu, Samuel Ortom of Benue, and Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia, who are all contesting for the senatorial seats in their respective states? Will they become candidates without platforms? As under the electoral laws, you cannot seek office without being sponsored by a political party. Joining us on this show this morning as we discuss the party's consideration to expel the governors is Chiyoke Agu, a PDP chieftain and spokesperson for Atiku Presidential Campaign Committee. We will later be joined by Mr. Femi Falana, the senior advocate of Nigeria, who will be discussing the legal implications for the candidacy of the G5 governors. Welcome to the morning show, Mr. Agu.
Thank you very much for having me around.
Well, it is clear, Section 58, subsection 1 of the PDP Constitution, that no member can bring the party into dispute or expose it to hate or lower the estimation of the party. And then, of course, the consequence will be as determined by the Board of Trustees. Now, can the party, the PDP, afford to suspend the membership or expel Governor Wike and others, not just the 5 governors, but members of the integrity group, which includes even founding members of the party, considering the fact that Wike had boasted that the party should consider expelling them or suspending them at the party's own peril? What do you think?
Well, you must understand that this issue about what people call G5 governors has been on for a while and is largely overflogged. We've heard rumors of a meeting in London prior to determining which candidate is going to support in the presidential polls coming in February. To the PDP, that's still a rumor. It is until the governors actually carry out that threat. That is when the PDP hierarchy, of course there must be consequences for bad behavior. As I speak with you, I'm very sure that not all the G5 governors are in London. I'm aware of a governor of a state that is signing his budget as we speak, who is supposedly a G5 member. You also realize that 4 out of those 5 governors are on the ballot for elections. I really want to see the magic of how somebody can contemplate supporting another candidate apart from the PDP presidential candidate and still hope to win his own elections. By and large, the PDP has largely tried to tread on the path of caution. We understand the fact that there might be disagreements in-house in the family, and the party has always continued to plead and continued to look at measures aimed at sorting out whatever issues that certain people, in the aggrieved members of the party might have. There's never a time we've looked at it that everybody must be on the same page in the party. But the most important things are what are the critical issues to Nigeria as a nation. And those are the issues that PDP is challenged to look at. And it's on that premise we are still looking at all efforts to ensure that there's peace within the party structure to be able to attend to that urgent need to rescue Nigeria.
All right, Mr. Agu, let's talk about this internal wrangling that unfortunately, despite meetings, interventions, indeed your presidential candidate, Waziri Atiku Abubakar, has said that he has extended an opportunity for dialogue with Nyesom Wike, who is the leader, who is said to be leader of the G5 governors. They haven't been able to come to an agreement. The agitations that have come up, and which you can confirm or add to, is number one, that they've said that the zoning of the party, the chairman of the party, and the presidential candidate is not equitable. So they're from the same zone. They've also said that Samuel Ortom has said that it is time for the South to take on the president. I mean, it's too late now. It's a few weeks to the elections, and the primaries have decided who will be bearing the PDP flag. But going back to the previous one on stepping down of the PDP chairman, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, and your presidential candidate saying that let's wait till after elections and then we'll be able to sort things out because it's a constitutional issue. What's your take on this? Why has it been difficult to come to some sort of truce for the good of the party? Who is not backing down? Who is being difficult? Why don't we see a resolution to some extent?
Yeah, thank you. His Excellency Atiku Abubakar is a very seasoned administrator. When this crisis started, there was an issue between legality and convenience. You sit down, you say you want to remove the national chairman. By the time you look at the process of removal of national chairman of PDP as in the constitution, you find that it's a very big drawback to an electioneering period. And it's on this premise that there's always been this appeal, let us face what is most important first of all, before beginning to deal with internal party issues. For some of us, we're beginning to suspect that it's not all is looking like. Because every day, certain people are coming up with new requests. I've even heard about a request of sign an agreement to spend one term on all that. These are things that clearly they are pointers to the fact that there are some fourth columnists or fifth columnists who are part of trying to infiltrate the PDP and use certain people as molds to try and truncate the process that is ongoing. What makes me very happy is the fact that the PDP is actually the issue in this election. Everybody is agitated, everybody is talking about the internal wranglings in the PDP, meaning that they are looking up to the party to be able to deliver Nigeria. We are showing Nigerians that in spite of all these problems, the PDP is ready to take on that challenge. Because going back a little memory lane, there are certain issues that are very critical to this election. So we don't get distracted with the antics of few people who do not agree with what the mainstream thinks. The issue in this election are fairly simple. It is about how do we take Nigeria forward. The issues about this election are about what has happened to Project Nigeria in view of issues like security, issues like economy, healthcare, the general growth of our people. Those are the issues on the ballot on February 25th, not the G5 governors. And the PDP has refused to be distracted by those things because delivering Nigeria is an urgent task that requires very, very clear focus, measurable timelines, and real visioning. Going about getting distracted by people who it appears as the days go by that their interests are not totally the interests of the people of Nigeria who are going to be the beneficiaries of this new process. It begins to question what the intents of those group of people are. If people begin to look at issues just purely from the prism of Mr. A must resign, Mr. B must leave, where does that leave the average Nigerian who is going to be voting on that day? Are they voting for, is Iyorchia on the ballot? Iyorchia is not on the ballot. The PD constitution is very clear about the process of removal of a national chairman of a party. And if you go ahead and take it, and even if you're talking about resignation of Ayu, if Ayu resigns today, the next in line in accordance with our rules is the deputy national chairman from the same zone as the chairman, which is still going to be from the northern part of the country. Short of calling for a national convention, which is not timely at this point, the election less than 60 days away. It's clearly mischief.
Let's double click on this Ayu conundrum. Because when you look at it, Mr. Wike said that your presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, he came to his house after that party primary and said to him that I believe with you that Ayu must go. That was what he said. So where is the integrity of your presidential candidate as regards promises that were made hitherto? Because that's the point Mr. Wike keep put. Can you, confirm or deny that? That's because most of the trust of Mr. Wike's argument is the fact that your presidential candidate gave him assurances that they know how you must go, because it will upset the balance that the presidential candidate will be from a certain region and the chairman of the party will be from another region.
Well,
was that said or not said?
Well, like you rightly pointed the word integrity. The integrity of what we're talking about here is you said, I said. Unfortunately, I will not be part of that process, right? I will deal with what are the issues or what the law allows the PDP to do.
So are you saying Mr. Wike lied? That your presidential candidate never made such a promise?
I said it's even immaterial. It's even immaterial because we're all members of the PDP. We all understand the process of removal of national chairman.
But promises are meant to be kept.
I don't believe His Excellency Waziri Adamawa can make a promise of what he can't afford to do.
No, because that's the case of integrity. The process
of removal of a national chairman of the PDP is a function of members of the PDP.
But he's not come out to deny if he said
Mr. Atiku has also shown a lot of maturity by, if you notice, not addressing all these issues. He has stayed above the fray in these problems the party has been going through. Reason being that he's a very experienced statesman, and he understands that the issues here are not about you said, I said. The issues are about trying to build consensus, eyes on the ball and face the election. If you follow what the governor of Rivers State, with all due respect to him, has been doing the last couple of weeks, it's beginning to look like a circus. Every day there's one new series of drama that comes out that people are laughing all over Nigeria about. These are not the ways we want to run our campaign. I want to appeal to him to get a little bit more responsible and understand that he's running a state.
Is Mr. Wike irresponsible?
I didn't say he's irresponsible. You said get a little bit more responsible.
Let's make progress. Let's make progress. This is not a dialogue.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you. Spokespersons like yourself in the PDP, they've been saying, with or without Wike, PDP will win the election. But Wike and the other governors, 4 governors, they are not alone. You have in that integrity group a person like Professor Jerry Ghana, who is one of the founding fathers of the party. You have Chief Olabode George, who is also a founding father of the party. You have former Governor Donald Duke of Cross River State. So, you have a lot of very strong PDP members there. And Chief Olabode George has said, let us see how PDP will win the election without that coalition of aggrieved, belligerent, disgruntled members of the PDP. Do you think that Waziri Atiku Abubakar and the PDP generally can win this election without those members opposing the party within?
In very clear answers to your questions, I'll tell you first of all that Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar is our hope he will win his election because of Nigerians. There's a very important issue about these coming elections that people do not understand or are yet to understand. Quite unlike other elections in Nigeria, there's a new technology that is going to be available for this election. The beavers. It's important, and PDP understands that this election is about the Nigerian people. Major stakeholders are important. The PDP will do everything within its capacity to ensure that they go into election as one house. But over and above that, is more important, this election is about the Nigerian people. The Nigerian people are the ones who are going to vote. Those days when people control territories are fast-going moribund. It's important that even our major stakeholders understand that these elections are no longer about them. These elections are now about the people. So I encourage Nigerians to come out and vote for who they want to be their next president. I encourage Nigerians to disabuse themselves of this toga that one stakeholder can determine where you go. Everywhere all over this country, you have people who are very interested in this next process because the issues at stake are very critical. And Nigerians must understand that those issues are important for us in the next 4 years. It's not going to be left to a group of people. It's not going to be left to a group of people who decide who rules Nigeria. As important as they are, the PDP campaign train has moved on. We would love them to join, but we're not going to stop at the bus stop and continue to wait. Because the issues here are with the people. The issues here are not just about the PDP. We are done with our party primaries and the processes have gone on. Our campaigns now are directed at the Nigerian people, who are the primary voters that matter in these coming elections. So as much as we really want to deal with all the tendencies in the party, we'll also continue to appeal to them to see reason on why delivering Nigeria is more important than people's private interests. It is only when we get in Nigeria we can begin to talk about what will be after that.
All right. Well, while we hear you in terms of the fact that, yes, the electorate are the most important factor when it comes to winning an election.
To the PDP, yes.
Yes, well, to the PDP and other parties, because at the end of the day, the vote lies with every Nigerian, so the individuals. However, you cannot detract from the importance of having a united front. In fact, as just borrowing a leaf from the APC presidential candidate who had praised the unity in the party as being one of the strong points of the party towards election 2023. Nigerians have said that how can a party divided rule a nation that has different, it's very intricate in terms of its makeup. So these are some concerns from Nigerians, because they're observing and seeing the wranglings and thinking, you need to get your acts together to demonstrate to Nigerians that you are able to lead a nation. Then going to that is the recent closing off of the campaign office of the Atiku campaign office in Rivers State, and hopefully your Waziri Atiku Abubakar would go to Rivers State to campaign, wouldn't he? So just to speak to that, as to the Rivers State government closing your office, Atiku campaign office in Rivers State, and of course the effect on your voters. You
see why our party is called the People's Democratic Party? Because it actually belongs to the people. We're the only party in Nigeria that whatever wrangle is in the party, we don't have any problem with everybody knowing about it, because the party actually belongs to Nigerians. I know that you are aware of the fact that APC is not at peace. I know you are aware of the fact that Labour Party is not at peace. But what they do is that they are hiding all these things because they can see their implosion coming in. The PDP, as of today, have what you might call G5 governors. I call them G1 governor, actually, because this is about Wiki, right? And maybe other people who might not be happy with certain things that happen in the party. But we've not hidden it from the public. The processes of healing are ongoing, and every Nigerian is aware of it. That is why it's a topic that is at the table of everybody. And I believe that when you have this democratic spirit, it doesn't really show that you cannot run Nigeria. It shows that you allow for freedom. It shows that people can express themselves. You have seen the APC trying to even show tendencies that show that if Nigerians make the mistake of being empowered, one of their first options is to gag the press, because they can't even talk to the people they want to rule. These are not signs that show stability. There's nothing wrong with disagreements. It is, at the end of the day, how does it inure to the benefit of the people that is most important. So I don't look at it like a downside. Coming to the Rivers State laughable closing of a campaign office of a PDP, what I call it laughable is that the governor set up executive orders or whatever he calls it and all that, and decided to use that to battle with his political foes in Rivers State, who are all his allies before, who went ahead to open an office for the Atiku campaign. I'm sure that office is open right now because he saw the futility of that exercise. It is not, this is just an office where you use to logistically control what goes on in the campaign process. Shutting it down for whatever reason, I mean, like, it smacks of some kind of despotism. And I'm quite sure he has retracted himself, because it doesn't really make sense. We must allow free flow of information in the democratic process. There's no way this democracy can thrive if you have certain tendencies. You're even seeing going in certain states in Nigeria where people are stopping other candidates from campaigning. People are setting up different kinds of laws for people not to have billboards and all that. Those things are despicable to the growth of democracy. The choices should be lying on the people. People should be able to have the space to sell their candidacy to the people. It's only that way that Nigerians can actually have leaders they truly deserve and want.
Okay. So 2 things. Number one, you have been able to say, okay, yeah, I wasn't saying, you have said Wike should get a grip of himself and everything, but your party was here in 2015, which they had to change your party chairman. It was the same discontentment, which a lot of people say, your presidential candidate today felt disgruntled that Goodluck Jonathan was running. And then we know how that played out, and a couple of other people left the PDP then. So they are saying, why is he now crying foul? Wike is just doing the same thing he did for Jonathan, and he can't deny the fact. And secondly, what is different about this time? Next year will make it 30 years. In fact, I think around first quarter next year, around March, leading around the election, will make it 30 years and your candidate first vied in the SDP primaries. 30 years he's been on this journey. What will make this time different for him? What is different about after 30 years of running?
Well,
the first question first, and you
I must go to I must speak to the tenacity of purpose of the personality of Atiku Abubakar. That consistency in wanting to deliver that vision of the PDP, right from the SDP and all that, down to the PDP, is something that should be commended by Nigerians. The campaign manifesto of the PDP is very clear, with measurable outcomes of what the party intends to achieve. It is only when someone has something very important he wants to deliver on that he keeps on hitting on that door. I'll give you examples. Today we're talking about issues like devolution of powers. We're talking about restructuring of the country. Every presidential candidate is talking about it. But it's only the Atiku-led presidential campaign in the PDP that has measurable timelines on how to deal with restructuring of the country. It is on quotes. I will send the very first bill after my inauguration of the National Assembly, the very first bill, the bill on restructuring. It shows you that the bill is already there. It is different from I will restructure Nigeria. There are parties who are running, with all the respect I have for them. Restructuring Nigeria needs legislative enablement. A party who doesn't have up to 30 senators on the ballot, and you're talking about restructuring, how are you going to go about it? We're just talking. This is the same dummy that APC sold to Nigerians in 2015 of a repackaged man who came in and we found out it was just a package. Nigerians need to be wary of packages. Nigeria needs to go for people who have shown that they have capacity to rule. Atiku Abubakar has been a vice president of Nigeria for 8 years. And it speaks to the kind of headhunt he did around Nigeria under his presidency. Under his vice presidency, I'm sorry. It speaks to the kind of consistency in his purpose. There's always been that drive for a market-driven economy, for a private sector-led economic process. There's always been a drive for better value for education and healthcare. There's been a drive for creating the right institutions to fight insecurity and to fight corruption. All these things are creations of the PDP government. The APC government came in 2015 and truncated that whole process. EFCC and all that which we created are now being used as agents of witch hunts and personalized media trials of people. These are institutions that we created hoping that they were going to continue to be uplifted and built. So at the end of the day, they become real institutions that can run themselves. Even under the APC-led government today, the bill in the National Assembly today about restructuring activities in the EFCC is still being sponsored by the PDP. What does that bill entail? The bill is trying to guarantee the security of tenure of the EFCC chairman.
Okay, the first question. Yeah. That this was the same thing Wike is doing to Atiku that Atiku did to Goodluck Jonathan in 2015.
This is not the same thing at all.
Yeah.
What has happened is that Atiku Abubakar refused to support Goodluck Jonathan. right? And it went the way it went, right? What is happening now is that Governor Wike, Atiku and a couple of other candidates, all well-respected PDP members, went through the presidential primary process, and Atiku emerged as the party's candidate. It is not impossible that everybody will not be on the same page on that. But just like every process, it's expected that since the outcome was fair and favorable, it's important that all the critical segments of the party join hands together to deliver the candidates. That is where we are coming from. Crying over split milk doesn't really solve any problem at this point in time. It is becoming obvious by the day that Governor Wike has a problem with the fact that he lost the primaries. And as much as that is what it is.
Okay, your point is clear.
Yeah.
In 2014, Waziri Atiku Abubakar decided to join the APC.
Yeah.
So he left the party.
Yeah.
Now, then he came back this time around. Wike and co, they are staying within the party. They are saying they will fight from within. But we've been talking about Wike and the other governors and the integrity group. How about Senator Chimaroke Nnamani, who is representing the Enugu East Senatorial District in the Senate? But he's openly campaigning for the presidential candidate of the APC. He's on his own. He's not part of the integrity group. So why is the party just allowing him to do that?
Well, the Presidential Campaign Council is different from the PDP party structure. I'm 100% sure that the party will not reward bad behavior. I will not speak for the party, but I'm 100% sure the party will not reward bad behavior. And I believe that the party is trying as much as possible not to get distracted. But there are also times that you can push people to the wall that the party has to react. I believe that if members of the...
There is no party discipline. No structures for enforcing
very far from it. The competence of the Yochari-led executive is there. Everybody knows, everybody speaks to his experience in party affairs. What has happened, I suspect, is the fact that these elections are just so close that there are times you have to tread with caution. Because if you're not careful, you end up chasing shadows and leave what you're supposed to be chasing.
Thank you very much.
So I believe that's part of the issues. But it doesn't mean that the party will not live up to its responsibility.
All right.
Like I said, the party will not reward bad behavior. It's very important we understand that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chijioke Agu. It's been good having you on the show this morning. Mr. Chijioke Agu is a PDP chieftain as well as a spokesperson for the Atiku Presidential Campaign Committee.